5 bold predictions for the New Orleans Saints in the 2024 season. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here again. Trace has got me with his headline. The clickbait has worked. Well done, Trace, if you're watching, which I know you are. Get in the comments below, Trace. 5 bold predictions. I'm interested to see this. Very excited here. Before we get started, get on down there below and you tell me your 5 bold predictions for the New Orleans Saints in the 2024 season, or just one prediction or 2 or 3 or whatever, however many you got. Let me know down below. And let's get on to the video. I can't wait to see what these predictions are. Let's get on with it, and I'll react as only I can. Oh, where did this come from? Where did the pre-roll? Where did this part of the? Man, I didn't realize we had this part of the intro. My God, the NFL draft style, Trace rolling the football. Wow, I mean, what kind of a budget do they have over there at what is this? Chat Now? What is it called? Chat Now? Sports Chat Now? What's the name of the thing? What is it? Saints Now by Chat Sports. That's right. All right. Okay.
Welcome into Saints Now by Chat Sports. As always, I am your host, Trace Girouard, and in today's video, we're going to be getting into 5 bold predictions for the New Orleans Saints 2024 season. And then at the end of the show, I'm going to get some of your hot takes.
Wow.
Because I put out a post on Twitter yesterday and said, hey, give me a bold prediction for the New Orleans Saints this season.
Will we see some of y'all in there? Who knows?
And so I'm going to share what some of my followers had to
Trace is looking red. The man might have been doing wind sprints, getting fired up for this video.
But I need your help, Saints fans. Our most liked video this month had 435 likes. So let's absolutely wipe the floor with that video. Let's get to 500 in today's. Just a little bit of backstory. Saints Now, right now, in the Chat Sports Power Rankings, we are dead last in likes for the month of June. So
damn it. You hate to admit it. You hate to admit it, man. Damn. 32 out of 32 across the... I mean, think about how bad some of those channels must be. Like the Chat Sports, like the Cardinals channel or something, or the Panthers channel, or the Jaguars channel, or the fact that they had more likes, not good.
I need your help. Show up, show out. Let's get to 500 likes. And hell, let's go and beat that number too.
Unbelievable.
Bold prediction number 1. I believe the Saints are not going to have 1, but 2 1,000-yard wide receivers. I believe that Chris Olave and Rashid.
I think Olave is, and this is, of course, barring injury. I think he is pretty much guaranteed 1,000 yards. The thing with this offense is that you would assume the Saints are going to spread the ball out pretty good. Alvin Kamara is going to have an absolute ton of catches. Rashid Shaheed is so interesting because he's such a low-volume guy. Like, he's the guy who's going to have 3 catches for 97 yards and a touchdown, right? Like, he's never going to have, you would think, he's never going to have, 11 catches for 90 yards. Like, he's too much of a big hit kind of guy, which hurts when you're trying to get 1,000 yards. A.T. Perry, is he going to somehow figure out 1,000 yards? I doubt it. So, I'd be kind of surprised to see this. I would not be surprised to see 1,000 yards for Olave, 700 for Rashid, 700 for A.T. Perry, 600 for Alvin Kamara. Yeah, I would not be surprised if we spread it out across the entire team. But 2,000-yard receivers, I don't see it.
Rashid Shaheed are due for a big-time season in the 2024 campaign for the New Orleans Saints. Now, Chris Olave, we know what he is. He is a damn good player. He can do it all. He's fast, has excellent route running. He can track down the ball, incredible hands, very nice focus. The player is amazing and worth every single piece of draft capital it took to get him. Now, Rashid Shaheed, I think that this kid is truly something special, and I think he is due for a massive breakout year.
I also think I think Rashid will be used very differently. I think you're going to see him more on jet sweeps. You're going to see him used more on just all kinds of stuff that wouldn't necessarily lend itself to the tried and or the old school receiver stats. So I think he's good. I like Rashid Shaheed, but I just don't know if the way he plays and the style and the offense and all that stuff really fits for 1,000 yards.
Here, and in his first 2 years, we have seen him utilized in a very minute way, and I don't think that he's been utilized enough. But in year 2, we did see him get used as a wide receiver and get some of those deep balls and get some of those big plays. And I think that's why Rashid Shaheed could.
I mean, he's averaging let's see if I can do quick calculations here, ladies and gentlemen. But if you look at his average, 3 catches a game? Not even, right? So that's what I'm saying is that it's hard to get the volume that you need for 1,000 yards when you play the style Rashid Shaheed does. Even if you bumped it up to, let's say he doubled it. Let's say he had 6 catches a game. Is that still enough for 1,000 yards? Probably not. So, and this kind of goes back to what I always say is that just like with a team, we use these flat numbers. We use 1,000 yards. We use 10 wins. We use Super Bowl. We use very flat metrics, but there is an in between. You have to, most of the time, players go through that in between before they get to that next step. So if Rashid Shaheed is averaging three receptions a game, and you think he's good, okay, I think he is good. I think he should do more. I no doubt about it. But he has to graduate from 3 catches to 6 catches to 7 to 8, whatever, and his yards will go up with that. But to be I'm projecting Rashid Shaheed to have triple his receptions that he's had his entire career, and all of a sudden go from a 3 receptions a game guy to a 9 reception a game guy. When you start doing that, it's okay, you might be reaching. Saying let's with Derek Carr, right? Let's say Derek Carr, I don't know the number, but let's say he's averaged 4,000 yards in his career, and let's say his best year was, or any quarterback, not had to be Carr, but let's say he's averages 4,000 yards a season. Or Kamara's a good example. Kamara actually is good. He's never went over 1,000 yards, right, in his career. And people now are I think he'll do what CMC does. I think he'll have 1,400 yards rushing. And it's we got to break the 1,000-yard mark before we can go from never breaking 1,000 yards all the way to 1,400. That's a huge leap. So be careful when you're projecting and you're looking at what should a player do, that you're not getting ahead of your skis there. And I understand the Rashid Shaheed 3 reception per game thing isn't perfect, because I understand that he wasn't always utilized the proper way and all that stuff, but we're just using that number for the argument. But the argument still stands. It's still one of those things where it's he should be a bigger part of the offense, but that doesn't just mean 1,000 yards because it's a nice flat number.
Also be a 1,000-yard receiver this year alongside Chris Olave. Now, with big play Olave, for me, we know he is a 1,000-yard wide receiver.
For sure.
He has proven that. He's proven
injury,
that he has the skill set to be a wide receiver 1. And now he has the ability to train as the wide receiver 1. This is the first year with the New Orleans Saints where this entire offseason has been focused around him being the center of the receiving and the passing game. So I think that this is going to be really big for number 12. But for number 22, Rashid Shaheed is lightning in a bottle. I mean, I've been saying it since the day that he was signed as an undrafted free agent. I have been so high on this kid. And when you have the...
Nothing against Trace, but I cannot stand analysis like this. We just broke down the whole 3 receptions a game. We just broke down all that stuff, the way the offense runs, where he'll be lined up, whatever. That is the way analysis needs to be. IMO. Saying, why is he going to have 1,000 yards? He's lightning in a bottle, and with plays regularly schemed up, he can go crazy. Those two things can be true, that he is lightning in a bottle, and with regular schemed plays, he can go crazy. Those can be true, but that can equal 700 yards. That's not telling me anything that's going to get him to 1,000 yards. That's just saying, he's sweet. Why is he going to have 1,000 yards? He's cool. He's dope. We know that. He has been sweet. He has been dope. He has been lightning in a bottle, but he hasn't had 1,000 yards. So why, there is a numerical component to this. Why is the numbers going to increase? It's the same as playing blackjack, where you're you're going to get 20 you're going to get 21 this hand. Why? You've been counting cards? Nah, man, I just have a feeling. Okay, well, that means nothing to me. Now, if someone says I'm counting cards and there's whatever, a 70% chance you get an ace and a 65% chance you get a king. I'm feeling real good about that. I'm feeling real good about the actual facts behind it. I'm not feeling great at all about a guy on his 15th White Russian telling me that he's got a feeling. The feeling might be that he's blacking out. The feeling might be that he's ODing on cream.
Offensive mind of Klint Kubiak, and you let him scheme up plays specifically for Rashid Shaheed. I mean, I think that this kid could absolutely go crazy. Way better than he did with Pete Carmichael, and way better than a lot of NFL analysts and a lot of people are just not really, giving him the credit for. I think that he's going to be really special, this kid. Bold prediction number 2. I think that the New Orleans Saints defense is going to be spectacular, and I think that the pass rush will be much more improved. And I think that they're going to finish top 10 in sack production this year. Last year, they were tied for 28th with.
All right, same situation. All right, now you've thrown a nice clean number out there, 50. Okay, what were the numbers last year? I know he's about to say it. And then now you have to figure out, okay, where are the numbers coming from this year?
34 sacks. Now this year, I think it's going to be
All right, so he's got to find 16 sacks. He has to find 16 additional sacks.
Very different story. Now, Carl Granderson, 8.5 sacks last year. I think he's going to be amazing in this season for the New Orleans Saints. He has been showing a lot of growth each and every season, and I think that this year he will really take over. Demario Davis, the fact that a linebacker is top 5 in sack production, pretty cool. I'm not going to knock it at all. I mean, he's a damn good football player, but I would like to see a little bit better production from the defensive line. Now, rookie defensive tackle Bryan Bresee absolutely took over in his first year. In the first game, he logged half a sack, and then in the Giants game, he logged 2 sacks in this single game. So, I mean, he had an absolutely outstanding year. Tano Passanio dealing with a little bit of an injury, so we don't know when he's going to be able to return. And Nathan Shepard also 3 sacks in the season last year. But here's the players that I'm calling out, and not necessarily calling out in a bad way, but I'm calling out to see what we can get out of them. Now, Chase Young, if this guy can stay healthy, I truly do believe this down to the depth of my core. He can have double-digit sacks.
If Chase Young has double-digit sacks, that would be huge. I mean, that would be nuts. I mean, you talk about one of the greatest signings ever is if he comes in, former 2nd overall pick, 24 years old, comes in immediately off neck surgery, has a double-digit sack season, would be, I'm assuming, his career high. Like, man, that would be nice.
Jordan, I'm not going to sit here and say he's going to get 10 sacks, but to say he can't get 6, I think that that's pretty crazy, and I think that
You do also get into playing time now. When you're looking at Chase Young, Carl Granderson, Cam Jordan, Foskey, like all these players, now it's like, okay, they can't all be on the field at the same time. They can't all be having 10 sacks. They can't all have, all that. I mean, I guess technically they could, but, so.
Will be able to do that because he's not.
I think Cam will be better. I mean, 100%.
Going to be the starting defensive end. He's going to be able to take snaps off. He's going to be able to be used in the rotation. And hell, I think he'll be lined up in the middle and on the interior as well. Carl Granderson, we already talked about him. I want to see him absolutely dominate. Bryan Bresee in year 2. We know he can rush the passer, and I want to see him do much better at that. But I also want to see him stop the run at a better rate. And Isaiah Foskey, just like Dennis Allen says, I want to see the kid cut it loose, and I want to see what he's capable of because he is.
I think this is possible. I will say, I think the Saints having over 50 sacks is possible. I don't think this is crazy.
A talented football player. And this defensive line is much more athletic. They are much more talented, and they have a lot more depth than they have in recent years. And I'm sorry if this hurts any feelings, and if you disagree with me, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but Cam Jordan will not be the starting defensive end. It's going to be Chase Young, Carl Granderson, and I think that that's a good thing for Lamb Band.
Get younger, get more athletic, no doubt.
Cam, and this is a much...
And it's good for Cam, too. Like, Cam is more of a rotational player. He doesn't have to worry about holding up for an entire season. Like, I think it's better for everybody.
Better defensive line than we've had in recent years, so I'm excited to see what this team is capable of doing. Now, I got some trivia for you, Saints fans. Who ranks 3rd all-time in sacks for the New Orleans Saints? We got the answer coming up later, so if you need to take a quick second, go ahead, scroll on down.
Trivia time.
Share your thoughts, get in the comment section, but don't look it up and don't be lame. And while you're scrolling on down there, it's going to be linked in the comment section description of this video. Got to say thank you so much.
Jesus Christ. All right, let me get my notepad out. All right, we've got to – all right, what do we got to do, ladies and gentlemen? We got to like the video because we got to get – we can't be last in likes. Okay, so we got to like the video to get to 500. Then we have to do trivia time, right? We have to figure out, what was the question? Who's third all-time in sacks? We got to do who's third all-time in sacks. And now I've got to go to Chubbies.com, skies out, thighs out, and buy some Chubby shorts. Jeez, my day is packed. Trace?
Thanks to Chubbies for sponsoring today's video.
Right.
And it's summertime, Saints fans, so you know what that means. The skies are out and the thighs
Trace?
are out too. So crack open a fresh brewski and make any day feel like a Saturday.
How about the front tuck?
Our code chat.
Man's went front tuck. No belt. Front tuck, no belt. Controversial yet brave look. Is there anything, the thigh tats. Is it time to retire the thigh tats, ladies and gentlemen?
That's code CHAT to get 20% off when you visit chubbyshorts.com. Chubbies makes clothes that make every moment feel like a vacation.
Is it?
Now, some people like to.
Again, ladies and gentlemen, think what Chat Sports is asking this cat to do. We had to do the spinning football intro. We're doing likes. We're doing trivia. We're doing whatever. And then they tell him, hey, man, go get in the pool. Go put these chubbies on and do a little pool modeling, son. Get on out there. They are working this man.
To wear jerseys. They like to wear tuxedo T-shirts. And
I like that
they like
hat,
to wear
though.
golf polos. But for me, I like to rock chubby shorts, swimsuits, and shirts by the pool when I'm at the bar, when I'm just kicking it back with the lads.
I hate to rain on Chubby's parade, but H&M, their bathing suits, same situation, same length, all that stuff, very comfortable. They're like $10 a short. I have like 8 different pairs. So, if you don't want to spend $60 on a bathing suit, spend $10. H&M's where it's at.
Feeling extremely confident every step of the way. They have the most comfortable shorts.
All right, Chase, can we
polos,
what's going
and even
on?
button-down shirts that'll have grandma praising how
ladies and
well
gentlemen, there's another full 2 minutes of Chubbies. God. Okay, bold prediction number 3.
Derek Carr, I think, is going to be a top 10 quarterback in terms of passing yards. Now, last year, he was not a top 10 quarterback, but here's where he ranked it.
Yeah, I need to know what 10 is. I need to know what 10 would be. So he had 3,800 yards, which is 13th. Hopefully Chase will tell me what 10 was.
Across the NFL in terms of his production. In completion percent, he was number 5. It was a really, really good. He's a smart decision maker. There's no doubt about it.
He missed a whole game. If you factor in like the half he missed here, the half he missed there. If you add that in, he's right around, I would guess, let's just say 4,000 yards. So where would 4,000 yards rank?
About it. In terms of the yards, just under 4,000. It was 13th, so not quite top 10. I think that you can add a handful more, about 200-300 more yards, just because of how much better this offensive system is going to be and how much better the talent is. And the touchdowns were top 10. The interceptions, he only had 8. That was really, really good. And the passer rating, he was top 10 there as well with a 97.7. And like I just said, I think Kubiak's system is going to cater to DC4 very specifically because he's going to have more.
I guess I'll do it. All right, so number 10 was Trevor Lawrence, but 4,016. So do we think Derek Carr can have 4,017 yards if everything rolls over? Yeah, I think that's totally possible. I think he could have had it. He averaged 228 yards last year. So we're going to have to bust out the calculator again. So if he had 3878 and then you add 228, he'd have 4106 last year. So 4106 would have put him at 9th. So if he just replicates what he did last year and everyone else replicates what they did as well, he'd be top 10. So I don't think it's crazy to say he'd be in the top 10 this year.
Multiple reads. There's going to be a lot of pre-snap motion, a lot of things that are going to confuse and deter the defense away from what the actual play is going or is running. And on top of that, they're going to be running the ball a lot more and grounding the football. So it's going to take some pressure off of Derek Carr. Hopefully he can take.
But that also, if they're going to be running the ball a lot more, then you'd have to take yards away, right? So which I don't think is true. But if you're going to say they're going to be running the ball a lot more, which will take pressure off Carr, you can't also say he's going to have more yards.
Less hits. And also, hopefully, the offensive line can play a lot better because that, in my opinion, was the biggest issue that Derek Carr dealt with alongside a lot of different things. He had 3 different shoulder injuries, 2 different concussions. The offensive line last year was atrocious. Pete Carmichael, if you want to look up the statistics, I encourage you to do it. but trust me on this, he was the worst play caller in the NFL.
We've covered that plenty of times.
It was not good. And on top of that, kind of goes back to the play calling, but there was a lot of misuse of weapons, a lot of not scheming up plays specifically for Rashid Shaheed or Chris Olave. And sure, there was some of those plays, but it wasn't happening enough. You weren't getting the ball to Alvin Kamara in open space. You weren't utilizing Jimmy Graham in the red zone. And I think that's why in the red zone completion percentage, you did struggle. You weren't utilizing the weapons that you had available. The true passer rating was really good. The pressured completion percent was really good. The deep ball completion percent was league average, and I think that could get even better when you scheme up plays for Rashid Shaheed and Chris Olave and A.T. Perry to actually do what they are capable of doing and play into their skill set. Now,
I would assume the deep ball attempts, I would assume the Kubiak's offense is probably pretty short in that. Just the way the offense rolls. I would guess San Francisco is probably pretty low in like deep ball completion, since there are a lot of play action, a lot of short, a lot of quick, efficient routes. I don't think they're really trying to take the top of the defense that much. So I don't know if that one. I mean, the completion percentage is one thing, but I don't think you can expect too many like deep balls.
Now, bold prediction.
There are going to be some, but I'm saying like,
Prediction number 4. I think New Orleans is actually going to go undefeated at home this season. Again, if you guys didn't want hot takes, probably shouldn't have clicked on this video.
That's a hot take right there.
I told you I was bringing.
We beat the Rams. We beat the Browns, both at home. Who else do we have at home?
In the Heat, and we were going to have some fun.
Okay, here we go. So we are going to be dogs in at least 3 of these, probably 4 of these. Depends on how you feel at the Falcons game. By week 10, we could probably flip that. That might go off. Take that one aside. But we're definitely going to be dogs against the Eagles. We're definitely going to be dogs against the Browns and the Rams. So the other ones for sure. Like, we should beat the Panthers. We should beat the Broncos. We should beat the Raiders. We should beat the Commanders. We should split against the Bucks. Yeah, I agree with that. So it's just, can we beat the Eagles? I mean, Eagles, Browns, Rams, Falcons, like running the table on those 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I mean, we have 9 home games here. So, like, if you go undefeated at home, and this is another thing, this is another part of this, where if you're saying the Saints are going to win 9 home games, and you also play the Giants, you also play the Panthers on the road, like, who are some other easy road games we've got? Chargers. You better be ready to say the Saints are going to win like 11 games. And if that's the case, you better get on a plane and head to Las Vegas, because right now the win total is 7.5. So if you think they're going to just win 9 home games, you can make a pretty penny taking some alternate numbers or taking the Saints to win the NFC South and all that other stuff. I mean, that's a bold prediction right here
with this one. So the home opponents that New Orleans will take on in 2024, it's the Panthers, the Eagles, the Bucks, and then,
because if you're gonna do this, if you're gonna win 9 games, including games against the Eagles, the Rams, the Browns, you're definitely gonna beat the Giants. You're definitely gonna beat the Chargers. So then it's like, well, at the minimum, you're expecting the Saints to go 11-6.
That Week 7 matchup against Sean Payton and the Denver Broncos, and then
and really, you should beat the Panthers on the road. So you're kind of saying, like, I think the Saints are going to go 12-5.
Falcons travel to you.
That's
week
pretty
10.
wild.
And then in Week 11, you have the Browns game. You actually have a bye in Week 12. And then in Week 13, you take on the Rams. Week 15, it's the Commanders. Week 17, it's the Raiders. And there is 9 home games and 8 away games for New Orleans this year. Now, I believe, what I was trying to say, there could be a couple of losses, and it would be naive for me and ridiculous for me to not at least acknowledge that. And so I will say this. I think the Eagles, that could be a talented team, and they could be a good unit, and I like the addition of Saquon Barkley. But I saw a very bad team at the end of last season, so, I'm going to kind of...
They did fire Matt Patricia, so you have to factor that in as well.
Roll with, maybe it's too early for them to really get things going, and the Saints can get away with a win, especially at the Dome. And then at Week 11, maybe that's a game that...
This is an insane segment, because it's like, I think we're going to go 9-0, but here's the possible losses, and it's half of the games. You're telling me that, like in one breath, you're saying we're going 9-0, baby. And the other side was like, but let me just say this real quick. We also could lose half of these. So, I mean, there's a big difference between 9-0 and 5-4.
Deshaun Watson isn't playing. Maybe you're going against Jameis Winston. Maybe you're going against Tyler Huntley. Who knows? I think that could be a possible loss because that defense is really, really good. But last time you played against Cleveland, you went up there in the blizzard and you took down Cleveland in Ohio. The Rams, last time you took them on at home, Chris Olave absolutely dusted Jalen Ramsey. I was at that game. And I think that the Saints, every single time they play against the Rams at home, have to kick the shit out of them purely because of the no call. And I put an asterisk next to the Raiders, not because I think that the Raiders will beat the Saints, but if they get to a certain point in the season and the Saints are sitting some of their players, maybe the Raiders sneak away with the win and the Saints lose. And I do believe the New Orleans Saints need to have that dome field advantage. They need to win games, and I think they need to be able to win over the fan base again and have the fan base be loud and proud. Now, the answers to the trivia, it was Wayne.
It is kind of wild that the Saints have been pretty mediocre at home for a while now. Like, even dipping into the Sean Payton era. There was a while there where it's like the Saints are 500 on the road. I mean, someone double check me. Like, what is our home record in the last, let's just say, like 6 years? Someone double check me there. But I bet it's not as good as you think it is. By the way, over the last 4 seasons, boom, we're 18-15 at home. So not really as good as you would think. And that's dipping into some Drew Brees there. So 18-15 at home, not very sporty, are not as good as you would think. I mean, 3 games over 500, right? And then if you go over the last 5 years, you go 24-17. So that 5th year, if you add on the additional, the 2019, like 2019, we were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We were 5-3, 5-2, 5-2. So that definitely helps it out. But yeah, over the last 4 seasons, 18-15 for the dome field advantage being such a thing, like that's tough. I mean, even when you are bad, like even when you are a bad team, even when you are even when you're not good, you're supposed to win your home game.
Pat Swilling with 76.5 and Will Smith with 67.5. Now, if you got this correct, let me know in the comments and also like the video. And if you want more trivia,
all right,
hit the thumbs up so we can do some more.
All right,
last prediction, number 5.
Let him know in the comments.
The New Orleans Saints will win the NFC South. And they will also...
Number 5, win the South. I think that I agree. Win a playoff game. Depends on the draw. Always depends on the situation. But win the South, I think, is definitely possible.
Also win a playoff game. I believe that they have the roster to do such a thing. And I'm going to be honest, this isn't a knock on... I mean, it's not really a knock. This is a knock to every single NFC South team. This is also praising every single NFC South team. This is just as neutral as it gets. Not any team in the NFC South made a move that massively changes things for me.
Yeah,
there is
agreed.
not any team that improved the roster so drastically that really separates them from any other team. Sure, Kirk.
I agree. I think the Falcons, the Saints, and the Bucks are the exact same level. They're all like B- teams.
Cousins is a big move. But it's the same thing as when Derek Carr came in. And everyone was like, it doesn't really move the needle. Well, if that's what we're saying about Derek Carr, got to say the same shit about Kirk Cousins. And on top of that, I also think that the Saints, they added Chase Young, sure, but it's...
Yeah, the Saints definitely got better. Like I do agree. Like everything kind of stayed the same. The Saints got better, so that's good for the Saints.
Not like that's going to go and win them a Super Bowl or anything. Now, here's what I think that the playoffs could end up shaking out to be. I understand if I said...
This is what I'm talking about. This is exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to that, Sudoku puzzle of putting stuff together. If you think the Eagles are going to be the 2 seed, then you think they're going to win quite a few games. But you also think the Saints are going to beat them. So you think the Saints are going to beat the 2 seed and the 5 seed throughout the season. So if the Eagles are the 2, and they've won more games than the Lions, the Eagles at that point are what? What do you think they are? Like 12-5? Yet, one of the games they lose is against the Saints. So it's one of those things where it's like, can you simultaneously believe that the Eagles are the second best team in the NFC, but the Saints beat them and went 9-0 in home games? And if the Saints go 9-0 in home games, now this is the real Sudoku puzzle. Now again, this is why we're on a different level. if the Saints go 9-0 in home games and they win the NFC South, how many wins do they have to have? I would say probably somewhere in the neighborhood of like 11 or 12. If both things are true. If you told me the Saints go 9-0 on the road, because again, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna. This is a beautiful mind type stuff. If the Saints are good enough to go 9-0 at home and beat the 2 seed, then they're probably not going to go 2-6 on the road, right? They're probably going to at least split the road games and go 4-4. So 9 plus 4 is now the Saints are a 13-win team. But they can't be a 13-win team if they're the 4 seed, right? Because there's no way that the Saints are 13-4 and they're the 4. All right? So this kind of shows what I'm talking about, where bold prediction number 3 or whatever it was does not jive with bold prediction number 5 of the Saints being the 4 seed. So then you have to, if you're going to say they're 9, and I'm not, and to say like you're going to go 9-0 at home, but you go 4-4 on the road is a crazy split. That's a crazy split. All right, but still, we're going to say it just for the sake of this argument. Let's say now that the Saints are, what would we say, 13-4, right? Yeah, 9-4. So they're 13-4. All right, so now if they're 13-4, they're probably the 3 seed. But in order to do that, now you have to have a bold prediction that the Saints are going to be better than the Lions. Do you really believe that? Do you really believe the Saints are going to be better than the Detroit Lions next year? Because then you have to do the puzzle of, okay, well, damn, if the Saints win 13 games, how many games do I think the Lions are going to win? Then you look at the Lions' schedule, you're like, well, I have to say 12, I guess? And they're going to win 12 games? So sometimes you can get into trouble with these predictions. Like a lot of people do this where it's like they'll go through every team's schedule and they'll be like, and all of a sudden at the end of it, it's like, well, wait a minute, you have every single team in the NFL winning 10 games. Like, how is that possible? Some team, you can't do that. Like the math ain't mathing, right? This math ain't mathing. Not mathing. So bear in mind whenever you're doing your bold predictions to make sure you're double checking your work, crossing your I's, and dotting your T's.
In this video, the Saints win 9 games at home, then yeah, they'll have or 8 games at home. No, 9 games at home, excuse me. Then they'll have a 9-8 record. Assuming they probably win a couple of away games, they'll probably be higher up in the rankings. This is just purely, a wild guess. I think the Niners are a damn good team. I think the Eagles will win the NFC East. The Lions will win the NFC North once again, and the Saints will take over the NFC South. And I do believe that the Cowboys, Packers, and Rams will be those 3 wild card teams. So that's just a guess, and here we are sitting at the end of June, just having a little bit of fun in the offseason. Now, it's your turn for me, Saints fans. Drop a bold prediction in the comment section for the New Orleans Saints.
Damn. All right, now we got to drop a... I'm losing track of what I got to do here. So I have to go in the comments and say if I got the trivia right after I already went in the comments to give the trivia answer in the first place. I'm going to chubbies.com. I'm liking the video because of the 30-second ranked likes or whatever. And now I have to go back into the comments, and now I have to drop another bold prediction. Am I right? Did I miss anything? My to-do list is insane.
2024 season, and we're going to go through some of y'all's here in just 1 second from Twitter, but I want you to take advantage of the opportunity to share your thoughts in the comment section. Now, Dylan Dobson, thank you for responding to my tweet. He gave me a quote tweet, so shout out to you, brother. Carr takes Kubiak's offense and puts himself in the MVP conversation, leads the Saints to a division title and a playoff run. I agree with the playoff run. I agree with the division title. I don't know about the MVP conversation because there's still guys like Patrick Mahomes. There's still players like Joe Burrow. There's still a lot of talented guys, Josh Allen out there. I think that there's a lot of really good players in the National Football League.
Now, if the Saints go 9-0 at home and they win 13 games, Derek Carr probably is in the MVP conversation.
To be honest, it would be hard. Derek Carr would have to have the best season of his entire career. And I think that would be a big ask for him. But who knows? Maybe that could be the case. And if that is, I would love to be wrong. Saints first, everyone says Carr is going to be a top 10 quarterback next year, and we are going to the
Okay, this isn't crazy.
Playoffs. Hey, it's That's what I said as well. So Saints versus everyone. I appreciate you for sharing your thoughts. Matthew, he says, we win the division and are the number 2 seed.
Woo!
See us get to, at minimum, the divisional round. That would be
The 2 seed, we would automatically basically go to the divisional round, right? Well, with the new bye system and all that stuff. But yeah, if we're the 2 seed again, like if you're the 2 seed, like brother, I mean, you're one of the best teams in football. You're a 13, 14 win team. So yeah, you better get to the divisional round. What an angsty photo from Matthew here. Can you imagine the person that had to take the photo? Like, hey man, take this picture of me. Okay, are you gonna face the camera? Nah, I'm going to line up my shot, corner pocket.
Pretty cool to see the New Orleans Saints have the number 2 seed in the playoffs. It's been a long time since New Orleans has made the postseason. I would love to see them
3 years.
not just make this.
I love it. That cracks me up. It's been forever since the Saints have been in the playoffs. Cough, cough, 3 years. So,
Postseason, but have a prominent role in it and be a team to be. That would be spectacular in my opinion. So if that happens, Matthew, you and I are going to be celebrating on Bourbon Street. Hopefully you're 21. Phoenix Hoop
Pause of the century there. Jesus.
Says the Saints will be top 10 again in rushing attempts, but will improve by 1 whole yard per carry, going from 21 to top 12, possibly even top 10. I think that that's a really good take there, Phoenix Hoops. Klint Kubiak's offense is going to be catered towards Derek Carr, but I also think that with it being grounded and with him emphasizing the rushing attack, it's going to give guys like Alvin Kamara a year 2 with Kendra Miller, year 1 realistically of using Jamal Williams correctly. I mean, hell, I think that the New Orleans Saints offense could be really, really fun this year. So, guys, if you want to get your...
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. The bold 5, the top 5 predictions. What a video. What an absolute roller coaster Trace just took us on. My God. Let me know in the comments below I hate to even tell you to go in the comments because I know you're so busy. I know you're on Chubbies.com. I know you're in their other comment section. I know you're liking the video. I know you're doing all that stuff. So if you find time in your day after doing the scavenger hunt that Trace just sent us on, let me know your bold predictions down in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you in the next video.